What's up, YouTube? I'm Dr. William Manhood Mentor, and I want to invite you to sign up for my Maximizing Fatherhood Masterclass. In that class, brothers, you'll receive all the knowledge that men need to know about life, love, relationships, family, and money that your father never told you. You'll learn in just a few hours what it took me 50 years to learn about women and wealth that currently has me living very comfortably. So go to MaximizingFatherhood.com and take the course so you won't be the one that's left out. Your friends will become powerful men and are going to have too much money and too many honeys hanging around them to want to hang around you. So sign up today and get it before they do. All right? Amen. Now, today's video is an attempt to open my sister's eyes to the fact that contrary to what women in the pink pill sister circle tell you, a woman cannot be a queen until she's married to a king. A woman cannot wear a queen's crown until after she kneels down in the position of submission before a man and let him put it on her head. And ladies, it seems that a lot of you have to be told that if you lose your head when you have a king, you're going to lose your crown. Even church-going women that have a good-looking husband with kingly qualities need to be reminded periodically, don't mess around and lose your king and your crown by listening to other women. Queen Vashti ended up losing her position as queen, her crown, and her husband. Now, what did she do? Let's talk about it. In the book of Esther, Vashti was the queen of the enormous Persia and Media empire. That is before she lost her position to Esther for having a masculine ego, for being stubborn, and for being uncooperative. In chapter 1, it says, "In the days when King Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, he made a feast unto all his princes and nobles and servants who had power in the provinces of Persia and Media, and he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even in 180 days, meaning 180 days or 6 months. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden in the king's palace. And they gave him drink in vessels of gold and royal wine in abundance. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also, the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king. And on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded the 7 chamberlains that served the king to bring Vashti the queen before the king with her royal crown or wearing her crown, okay, to show the people that and the princes her beauty, for she is fair to look on. But when Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains, therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned within him. Then the king said to his wise men, which knew the law and judgment, what shall we do unto Queen Vashti according to the law, because she has not performed the commandment of the king? And Memucan, one of the chamberlains, answered and said, Vashti the queen has not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and all the men that are in the provinces of the king. This deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. The king commanded Vashti the queen to be brought to him, but she came not. And likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media, and there shall arise too much contempt and wrath. And if it please the king, let it be a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persian and Medes, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. So he published a decree throughout all his empire that the wives should give honor to their husbands, both small and great. Then the king's servant that ministered to him said, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, and let the maiden which pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. So now the story reveals that Queen Vashti made a feast for the women who lived in the king's royal house. And these were women whose only duty was to sleep with the king whenever he desired one of them. They all had to take their turns having sex with him, but only Vashti enjoyed the royal benefits of being queen. Now, this reminds me of situations today where a man is cheating on his wife, right? And the other woman only gets to have sex with him while his wife gets all the benefits of being his wife. And the wife gets to live in a big house, drive the new car, and access to his bank accounts, while the other woman only gets handouts. Therefore, the other woman does everything she can to push the man to leave his wife so that she can have her position. And this puts pressure on the man to decide whether or not he wants to keep his wife. But when he's too slow in making a decision, the other woman will find a way to let the wife know that she's screwing her husband. Then the wife is forced to decide whether she wants to stay, leave, or play around herself. But the goal of the other woman is to get the wife to move out of position so she can move in. Now, it may be that the other women in the king's palace were not satisfied with just sleeping with the king and getting handouts, and it may be that they wanted Vashti to move out of position so one of them could move in. So we see the women had a feast while the men were having one. So now, it doesn't take too much imagination to figure out what the topic of conversation was while these women met in the sister circle. You know, these ladies didn't just sit around quietly, and more than likely their conversation was about something that they all shared in common, which was the king. But whatever they talked about must have sparked rebellion in the heart of Vashti. And I imagine the conversation might have sounded something like this, okay? Girl, you know when the men get drunk, that nigga gonna call you in and parade you around in front of them? Child, you the queen. You help him run this kingdom. Why do you let him degrade you like that? He should be calling one of us in for that kind of thing. If I was queen, honey, I wouldn't go. Okay, so when the king called for Vashti to show off her beauty to his guests, she refused to go. And this, of course, embarrassed the king, made him very angry, and caused Vashti to lose her position as queen. Now, a lot of women today lose their man as a result of listening to other women about what to do with their man that don't even have a man. Many modern women know that their man is not going to put up with certain behaviors, but they show their ass anyway because they don't want to look weak or submissive in front of their girlfriends. And the women in Vashti's sister circle not only didn't have a man, but they were all screwing her man. And the thing is Vashti knew the rules of the palace. She knew that if she went into the king's court without being called, that she could be killed. And if anyone came in unannounced and the king didn't point to his scepter to them, they could lose their life. So she had to know that if she did not go when the king called, that something bad would happen also. Yet she listened to her girlfriends and refused to go in. And first, let me show you how I know, okay, that she knew, okay, that she couldn't refuse to submit to the king for all you sisters and simping suckers that hate to face the truth. So you just have to find a point on which to argue. In chapter 4, verse 11, we find Esther was talking to Mordecai, who was trying to influence her to go in and plead with the king for their people. And she said to him, all the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come unto the king these 30 days. And like a lot of women do today, Queen Vashti lost her crown because she thought that she didn't have to submit to or do what her man said. Queen Vashti lost her crown just like a lot of modern women lose their men because she listened to other women. She had no problem going through the beauty pageant and parade herself in front of the king's men to win the competition between her and the other women to become queen. But when she became queen, it was suddenly too degrading to show her husband's friends what a beautiful and submissive wife that he had. And after she refused to answer the king's summons, his boys advised him that he had to get rid of her or the rest of the wives would refuse to be submissive to their husband also. And in the interest of full disclosure, brothers, the king regretted listening to his boys and getting rid of Vashti because he loved her, okay? Now, he knew that to keep his empire in order, it was best for the kingdom to relieve her of her position as the queen of their kingdom and take her crown away. And since the moral to the story is, don't lose your head or you'll lose your crown. Don't do what Vashti did and listen to the women in the sister circle who don't have a man, all right? Sisters, what would you do if you knew that every sister in your sister circle was sleeping with your husband? And can you imagine listen to a whole group of other women tell you what to do with your husband who were actually screwing him? Okay, if you're stupid enough to listen to them, you will end up having to sing like Vashti did in the song Congratulations. See, she found out that the man that she was in love with was getting married. She caught him talking to another woman and she got mad and left him, but now she regrets losing him to the competition because that day could have been her wedding day. So she's saying, I thought that we were special. My soul aches, my heart breaks, and as I turn and walk away, I can't believe it's over. We really never did say goodbye. I thought we'd give it one more try. Felt our love was here today, and now today's your wedding day. Congratulations. Well, I thought it would have been me standing here with you. Congratulations, and I hope you're happy. Because as long as I can breathe, you'll always be the one for me. Well, that's it, all that I have for now. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this video with your family and friends, and I'll be back with something new that nobody told you. Until then, remember that God loves you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'll see you next time on Maximizing Fatherhood.